All right, guys, happy April. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm going to just share, I might get a little emotional tonight. I haven't shared this story maybe as fully as I'm going to tonight. If you do have little kids around, you might want to put in some ear pods. I don't plan to be any explicit craziness, but just telling you that ahead of time so that I'm covering my bases. All right. Tonight's call, 1st of April. Can't believe it's here. I'm ready for the warm weather. I'm going to share all about mindset tonight. So I know we've been talking a lot about that in our community overall, but specifically how to make setbacks that you experience really a piece of your comeback. And I'm speaking from personal experience, going to dive deep into my story, and so that you guys know a little bit more about kind of what I've been through and how to push through it and what the mentality is around that. So if you haven't already, screenshot that you were here, post it on your stories. I love being tagged. And I'm glad for a full call because it makes my heart happy. So first things first, agenda. We're going to go through some recognition. I'm going to share some announcements, and then we'll dive into the goodies. I'm going to walk through kind of identifying the season that you're in. Maybe for you, mindset has been a topic that you're like, yeah, I know I need to work on that, or yeah, I think I'm doing the things. Tonight, we're going to dive deep into it. So what's going on in your mind? What's the new standard you want to set for yourself? And then some tips and tricks at the end. And I will try my best to keep it to 30 minutes. So first and foremost, wanted to celebrate and open up to anybody who wants to share and unmute themselves or put in the chat any celebrations. We did announce our March winners today. Taylor won the Tier 1 prize, Megan won Tier 2, and Megan Maygon won Tier 2, Megan Megan won Tier 3, and I'm so proud of you guys. You guys have been kicking butt with the April challenge, and this stuff just like warms my heart. Consistency, falling in love with your journey, sharing what we're doing, not keeping it to ourselves. Also, some things I wanted to celebrate. Rachel regained her emerald this week with her team. Huge. I know she's pushing for diamond next, which means she's helping 12 women stay consistent on their journey. Also, Megan Hammond hosted an incredible call. I just posted it, the recording in the hub before this. So if you missed it last week, you can watch it again. And we had a lot of great partner mentorship calls this weekend and late last week. So super proud of you guys. Everyone's kicking butt. Would love to open it up. If anyone else wants to shout anyone out, you can unmute or throw it in the chat.
My girls for showing up consistently this week. Kate, Chrissy, and Rebecca are rocking it this week. I'm so proud of you guys.
Awesome. Any other celebrations before we keep moving? Don't go all at once. Every little thing counts. All right, I'm going to shout out the Zoom crew because I've been noticing it being used a lot more, and that also makes my heart happy. You guys get it for free. I pay for it, so make it worth my money, guys. Okay. Keep it up the good work. All right. So some quick announcements. Just to remind you, every Monday, there's a new Monday Fire under the Mindset tab, and that's already included in your body membership. They're just a great way to kick off your week with some positivity, have something mindset-wise, obviously tied very to the call tonight. Highly suggest you start off tomorrow. Also, the 3-day split program is now available on Body. It's 3 days a week, 45-minute workouts. So don't think that they're easy, but it's a great program to try. And we love Autumn. So that is now new on Body for everyone. Next Sunday, Allie will be hosting the call on a meal prep theme. She'll be sharing some more information on that. So look out for that. And then through this week, through tomorrow, 3-day refresh is still on a discount if you're looking to kind of clean up your nutrition. And or if you buy a pack this month, so if your body is renewing, definitely reach out to your partner because you can add on a free 3-day refresh. Say that 5 times. They did start a new body experience podcast, and this week's feature is talking about all about the creation of Shakeology and how that came to form. If you've ever watched on Netflix, there's a documentary with Zac Efron and Darren O'Lean, who is the creator of Shakeology, and he's talking specifically to our CEO about how they find ingredients and where they go around the world. So definitely recommend if you're looking for a nutrition listen and why Shakeology is so powerful. That is now available. We also announced this last week that our top leader cruise will be in October this year, and I'm really excited to be pushing with that with some of the girls on our team. So if that's interests you, we would love to talk to you about it. And then our spring bike sale also goes through tomorrow, and they're about 50% off. So I know some of you have reached out and asked about that. I love my bike. I know a lot of you have bikes on here, and if you want to add anything to that in the chat, definitely do. I love that I can stream my workout right here and then jump on the bike and just not go on social media. It makes it really seamless. Anything else that I missed? Any other announcements? All right, we're gonna get into the good stuff. So everyone take a deep breath. Maybe get off your phone, be present, have a notepad, right? Just like take a moment, really connect here. Like I said, I warned you before I started this, I might get a little deep. I might open up a little bit more than I expect. And you know, for those of you that know me, I am very open and sharing of my story, but there's also pieces that you kind of keep to yourself. And I feel like I'm at a place now where I am strong enough and ready to share this with y'all because it has been such a big part of my life over the last 2 years. And I think it's important that you guys know everybody that you see that is, you know, maybe successful or you think has it all together, or like I've been around here for 10 years, I know exactly what I'm doing. That's complete bullshit. Again, I warned you to put in your headphones if you didn't already. But I'm going to dive a little deeper so that we can truly know we're all on the same team and experience similar things maybe, and we can connect to a little bit more of each other. So I want to quickly ask you, what's the season that you're in right now? And this is where a notebook would be really helpful, just to kind of like jot down whatever comes to mind. How are you feeling about yourself, your relationship, your day-to-day routine? What's going on in your day-to-day routine? Is it chaotic? Is it stressful? Is it full of fun stuff, but your time management's all over the place? Why are you feeling that way? Is there something that is going on in your life that's triggering those emotions? Is there someone in your life who's pulling you down? When do you feel your best versus your worst? Are you more, and I know I'm throwing a ton of questions, but I just literally want you to just write down anything that comes to mind, or you can jot it in your phone. Like, when do you feel your best? What activities are you doing? What time of day is that? When do you feel your worst or your most sluggish, or just like, I just want to go to sleep and ignore my day? So diving in a little bit to my story, the picture on the top left is July of 2022. Yeah, I'm getting the years right. And that is when we had our big team summit in St. Louis. And that was when I started getting into a new relationship. And it also was the first conference I ever went to, and everyone sat down at the table, and Rachel and Allie and Sarah know this, and Jamie, and they all started saying all of their goals for the year. And I was like, yeah, I don't really have any. And they all looked at me like, what? Like, you're the one that always, like, for 8 years, guys, I had set big goals. I had achieved big things. I earned every trip. At the time, it didn't really strike me as weird, but saying it out loud to you now, it's very weird. I am a type A achiever. I always have goals. You guys know in the message pod, I ask you, what are your weekly goals? What are the things you need to improve on? So that should have been a major red flag at that point. But when you want something so much in your life, I'm 35 years old now, and I love that you all have families and kids and spouses, and there is nothing more than I have wanted that really for the last 5 years, okay? And so I've been dating, I've been in multiple relationships. It has been very difficult for me. And when you have pretty much all your friends around you that have what you want, much if you've ever experienced infertility, that's a similar feeling, right? Like you see everyone around you having kids and it's not happening for you. And you start blaming yourself, you start going down the rabbit hole of what's wrong with me, or all of those things. And so I trusted someone that they wanted those things with me and they were serious about me and they were very consistent in the beginning. But the problem is that there's a progression in relationships, right? There's things that happen in progress. It's just like losing weight. If you came in and lost 20 pounds in 1 week, I would say, what's going on? Is there something wrong here? What are we doing? Right? We would all like wave the red flag. And so fast forward to the top right, that was about 6 months later, and you guys might not think anything was wrong with me, but that was the worst vacation I ever went on in my life, and I was the thinnest I've been at my life in a long, long time, and I was very unhappy. Day 1 of that vacation, I almost flew home because it was that bad, and I was being that mistreated, and I was living on eggshells, and I was not functioning as my normal happy self because I was living with someone that was unhappy with themselves, and therefore, as maybe you've experienced before, that gets taken out on the person that they usually say they love the most, right? And it sucked because I didn't wanna tell anyone. And here I am, I have this big team, and I share my life very regularly, and I moved in with someone very quickly, and the house was bought, the furniture was there, the decor went on, and it's like, "Okay, I have the things that I said I always wanted, but I hated every minute of it." And I felt like such a sham to our team. Like, who am I to preach treating yourself well and surrounding yourself with positivity when all I felt was constant negativity? Like, everything I did was wrong. Anything I said could set someone off and put me in a position that was not healthy. It was horrible, guys. And I had to process that for myself. And I can see how women get stuck because, guys, I was the girl that I did 8 years of mindset work. I had been in therapy for 3 to 4 years. I had my shit together as far as I was concerned for the most part, like, and I let someone come into my life that literally sucked the life out of me. And that's the picture on the bottom left is the day I moved into my apartment and literally moved out of his house and did not tell him until I moved out. It was crazy. It was chaotic. It was literally my friends and my family moving all of my shit for me and me just being like, am I living in a dream? Like, is this real? But it was the best thing I ever did because fast forward to November of this last year's bottom right, that was my best friend's wedding and I was the maid of honor. And I truly believe that this business and this community saved me because the only time I ever felt like myself when I lived in that house was when I did my workouts. And so I tell you this because you never know what someone else is going through. I still was posting, I still was sharing my story. You guys, if you scrolled through, I mean, if you really know me, you probably could notice there was some differences and changes, but overall, I was still putting the facade up that everything was great. And I couldn't fully tell my story because it wasn't my story to tell, right? It wasn't my story to tell of someone else's mental health issues, someone else's addiction issues, things that were all drastically affecting me in my life to the point where I actually got laid off the same week I moved out. Talk about a double whammy punch. And it would have been so easy to just stay and let him pay for things and believe that they're going to change and all the things that you want to hear as a woman. But I knew in my heart and soul from the work I've done here that the right thing was to follow what was best for me. And those tools were directly correlated to what we've done with our community. Because there was this constant nagging on my heart of like, I know I deserve better. I know this doesn't feel right. I know this isn't the life I want to live. I know I didn't work so hard of doing all these things to be treated this way for doing these things because I would literally be made fun of for like running team calls and being successful and helping women, like all the things that you want in a spouse because their ego couldn't handle it. And this isn't like a shit talk call, but I think it's important that y'all remember that we all go through hard things, and hard things aren't like they don't discriminate, and you don't always see them, and you get to the middle sometimes and you're like, what the fuck just happened here? Like, how did I get here? This is not the person that I wanted to be. So, what do you want to improve? Those are the things that I kept asking myself on a regular basis. And when I felt really out of control, the things that I could focus on that I could control are the things on the left, and it really started with in a body event I went to in person on the top left with girls from our community in Philadelphia, and I sat in that room and I was able to say out loud for the first time what was really happening, number 1, because none of them knew, and ask for help, number 2, which all of them offered, and number 3, look around the room and remember and connect back to the energy that I knew I could have in my life because I wanted to be myself again. And so I had to really evaluate like how was I talking to myself? What is the energy I wanted to carry with myself? And regardless of what was happening with this other person in my life that was bringing me down, how can I fully control the situation by having a plan and doing the things that make me feel my best. And of course, my workouts never stopped because like I said, those were the only things that made me feel like myself. Obviously, I was very thin because I was very stressed and not sleeping and just like stress does wild things to your body, let me just say. I look at some of my pictures and I'm like, "Whoa, like that's not Danielle," you know? But also surrounding yourself with people that make you feel safe and secure were the women in this community. For example, Katie sent me that really special gift on the bottom left, randomly out of the blue with a sweet little note. And she knew exactly what I was going through because I was open with her and that meant so much to me because it's like those little things to remind you that you're not alone and that you deserve the best and that you have a space here and there's something special within you. That's why we breathe belief into you guys all the time because again, you just never know what someone else is going through, which led to our rewards trip last March that we went on the bottom right, and that was like the first time I started to feel freedom again. And I started to feel like I could breathe again and I could relax again and I could reconnect to what mattered most to me. But all during this time, I had stopped hitting my goals. I had stopped growing my business. I had stopped mentoring my partners because I was just in survival mode. So I wanted to improve a lot of things, but I had to first get me right. So does that sound familiar to you in like a time in your life where it's like everything feels like it's crumbling around you and you're taking care of everyone else or putting on a show that everything looks great, but what are you really doing for yourself? Which is why we're all here, right? So I had to think about what is the new standard that's going to be in my life. Once I moved out and I did that whole chaos, what is the new standard, right? And so these are some of the things that I thought about going through this setback. Like relationships in my life will always be reciprocal. I am, of course, going to always fill my cup first with movement, mindset, making connections, because those are the foundations that make me feel my best. Valuing time with those who give me energy, who don't take it away. Also, one of the things that I did in this relationship is I suppressed my voice. I kept quiet on things that I didn't like. because I wanted to keep the peace. And that I know is a trauma response from my childhood and some things that I went through. Therapy for you. But that avoiding hard conversations in your life don't get you to the result that you want, because then you're never fully expressing who you are and what you need and what you want and what you expect. And also, the thing I've learned most from this business and this community, you guys know, I love doing live videos. I love speaking. I love connecting and doing mentorship calls. And I had to kind of build my mojo back again, build my confidence back, and know that my voice has power and weight and it matters. And my opinion on things, instead of just saying, like, yeah, whatever you want, or, even to your friends, like little things, I started seeing how it was trickling out. Where, like, first off, I knew and was terrified that my friends would just like peace out because I was not my best fun self to be around. And there was always something crazy going on. Like, I became that girl that just always had like, "Oh my god, this just happened. I can't believe this happened." So I had to kind of course correct, and learn to share authentically myself again and confidently again. And so it really took diving deep into saying these things, writing these things, sharing them in therapy, talking about them with friends that I knew were a safe space and that would build me up and not judge me. Um, but now I think about it, and I love that I went through it, because it's allowed me to mentor other women as their survival guide to support them through their difficult relationships. And it's happened. Like, I've had one or two friends now, not exact same situations, but I know exactly what they're feeling. I know exactly what they're experiencing. I know exactly what they're thinking, and I know how to support them because I've been through it too. And so for me, the setbacks you experience in your life are actually gifts, because it's a connection point that we get each other, you know? Like, I think of Rachel and sharing her infertility, that was a really big deal, but she knows how women experiencing miscarriage feels. I don't, because I've never been through that. Of course, I can support in the best way that I know how, but I know how someone who is going through a breakup in their mid-30s feels when all their other friends are having families and doing Easter egg hunts and all the stuff that you envision for your life. I know how to support that girl. So these are just some of the fun times over the last 8 months or so that have built new friendships and new challenges for me, but also just allowed me to, again, learn to be myself again. And so, how did I, and not just myself, a better version of myself? Because I now will never stand for anything like what I experienced, of course, but I also can stand more confidently in knowing who I am, what I want, what I deserve, all those things. So, like, how did I actually do that standard? So, first and foremost, my body went through a massive shift. Okay. Um, the first picture you saw, I was very thin, and I had never had panic attacks in my entire life. I was having panic attacks almost every other day, a year and a half ago. So my body was freaking out. So you saw the first picture. This was in January of this year, my transformation to today. My body then went through this weird phase where I felt kind of bigger than I have usually have been for like a good 6 months. And I think a lot of that was just like coming to terms with what actually happened, what I actually endured. It's not even necessarily that I was eating so terrible or my nutrition was off, but sleep and stress definitely affect your body. And that's what I'm getting at here. So if you're struggling with how you feel about your body, like Katie knows, I would text her all the time, my work pants don't fit. This is really fucking frustrating. Excuse my French. Like, there is nothing worse than I literally have like 2 pairs of pants to wear. Like, this is not who I am. This is not my body. So I had to give my body time to come out of that and get on a sleep schedule. And like, it took about a year, guys, now, I'd say. Um, so going through some of my tips and tricks. You need accountability partners when you're going through hard things in life that can be real with you and you can be honest with them, but without judgment. And the girls on this team were that space for me because there was some things that are just so wild, I could never share it publicly. Again, also it's not my story to tell, but um I needed a space to know it was okay to share. And I thank you all for that and that grace to figure myself out because I really don't know how I would have gone through that time without this community. Some simple things that, even if you're not going through a big horrific thing right now, we all deal with stress. We all deal with things we worry about or things that, come up in our life. The best tip I can give you is start using timers for the activities that are most important in your life. And it sounds like treating yourself like a toddler, but I literally did it this afternoon when I didn't want to pack. I'm going for my sister's wedding this week. I didn't want to study. I didn't want to fold laundry. I used timers for all those things. And then I rewarded myself when I finished the activity. So when I studied this morning, I then got to take a walk outside. Might sound like, really, Danielle, but like, this is how I have to talk to myself because I'm a squirrel brain and I will get so distracted. And then I will scroll on social media for an hour and gain nothing from my life except for consuming other people's content that doesn't bring me joy. So, mindset is directly correlated to getting off of this or being intentional here on what you're plugging into and plugging into the things that matter most to you. So that for me is reading. I put a 10-minute timer on every morning when I read. Obviously, for my business activities, because I care about helping other women, I put timers on. Same thing, I was applying for jobs and moving out of that horrific situation. I literally felt like I lived in a jail cell because I was scared to spend money. I didn't really want to tell more people than I had to of what was actually going on. I felt terrible and I had to apply for new jobs and start to sell myself where I did not feel confident. So damn right, I had to set some timers and send out some resumes, okay? Um, Public sharing. So there's a method to the madness when we ask y'all to share that you get on these calls, that you get on Zoom, that you share your trackers, that you log in the bod group. Why? Because it proves you actually did it. And when there's public accountability behind the things that matter most to you, you're way, way more like way more able, or not able, what's the word I'm looking for? Way more willing to do it. Like it becomes part of your routine. And then others start seeing, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. So if you haven't screenshotted the team call that you're here tonight, you should share it because it's something that's important to your life and you showed up for a reason. And you're still listening to me 28 minutes later because it's speaking to you in some way. All right, something else I did when I went through this setback is I had to force myself to mix it up and have fun too, which was very difficult when I did not have an income. But hiking is a free activity, and luckily my friends were really great about getting out and doing things. So I would hike a lot that summer. I did a spa day to reward myself once I started working again. I invested in my bike last summer, best thing ever. Plug for the bike sale that ends tomorrow. It's such a mental health thing for me, and it's been so vital to my journey. And just having something to look forward to. So we're going to San Antonio this summer again for body, and it's just knowing that there's a positive space to look forward to with my best friends every year is just so important for my overall health and well-being. It makes such a difference in my life, and that's why you guys see me here talking today. Last couple things. Get things out of your mind and onto a list. We as women, we multitask so horribly. It's your brain's not meant to do it. We all do it. I know we do because I do it too. But I have so many, like, it's ridiculous. I have so many post-it notes that I just write random shit on here. I don't know what they are, but they're there. They're out of my brain. So if you saw the notes in my phone too, it'd be mass chaos. But get something out of your brain and into your calendar or onto a piece of paper. It also makes it more real when you write it down scientifically, and it allows your brain to strategically connect to why that thing is important to you. Scheduling, tracking, allowing to, then you know where you can shift and adjust, right? So I know who logged 20 workouts last month. I know who logged 5 too. So I know who I can follow up with and hold accountable, and I know who I can celebrate. And I know who I can work with to help with their supplements if they're logging them or not. So there's a method to the madness of getting things out. If it's in my brain, it's using up energy, guys. It's taking away from the things that mean the most to you, spending time and being present with your family. So get it out of your brain, get it somewhere that it's important. Take photos and get off the scale. Like I shared a little bit about my journey with my body over the last year and a half. Stress and sleep were huge things, and I got very frustrated, but the pictures say 1,000 words. I don't really care what the scale said. The pictures for me say everything. So take your damn photos. Get outside and take a walk. This is something that we're going to be doing tying into our May challenge, and something Alicia kind of inspired me on. And I also heard a quote from Chalene Johnson this week that 75% or something around there of women over 40 hold extra weight. And if they would just add in extra walking every day, that would not be an issue. So, not about extra workouts, not about crazy nutrition, but for a lot of us, we sit in front of screens, much like we're doing right now, but this is important. We sit all day, right? And we watch screens and we are lethargic. And so I've made it a point this week, I just started to walking every single day and plugging in a podcast, calling a friend, connecting to nature, doing the things that were really great during pandemic. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I used to take a lot more walks and a lot more slow time just being. And I would schedule with a different friend every other day, and it was great connection time. So I really highly encourage you to do that. That's an easy thing you can literally start tomorrow. And then lastly, of course, therapy. I will preach it to the moon and back. I'm very grateful for my therapist and happy to answer any questions on the side. So I didn't get as dramatic with y'all, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight to things. And this is over the last year and a half. This is not, oh, I went from not hitting any goals to doing all the things. But I will say in the last 5 months, I've hit my business goal every single month. In the last 5 months, our team has grown. In the last 5 months, my journey of my body has changed. And why is that? I decided to truly let go of the past and make a big cut of the toxicity out of my life. I committed to growth day. I think that was a really big piece, which is our mindset tool. And I made a new standard for myself that these are the things that I do, because this is the kind of woman that I am. And just because I went through that really hard time in my life, it has grown me to be a better version of myself that can help even more women that I want to reach. And that's how I look at it, as a lesson. So you are in control. Where do you want to go the end of 2024? Where do you want to go tomorrow? Where do you want to feel the end of the month in 3 weeks? Where you spend your time of the woman you are and who you want to become, that's where you go. So I challenge you to get off this call and get in our message pod and share one thing from tonight's call that spoke to you, and one thing that you're going to implement. Notice I didn't say 10 things. I know I gave you a lot of things, and I'll share the recording after this, but I hope y'all know that nobody's exempt. Oh, wow, there's so many. Nobody's exempt from hard times and tough things. And it doesn't mean that you need to publicly blast, I'm struggling and this sucks, right? But there is a safe space here for you to always feel like you belong here. And there's something to grow through the challenges that we go through. And I'm so grateful for y'all. Any last comments before I take my selfie that I was here too? Well, thank you for letting me share my heart tonight. I love you all. I would not be here without you. And like I said, Allie will be leading next week's call. I hope to see all of your messages in the message pod after this. And let's keep stacking this call. Love you guys. Have a great week.